Show me how to walk. I never needed nobody. Teach me how to walk. I never needed nobody to tell me make my mark. I'm experienced on high. Understand how to get along.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, member of the cabinet in the person of the Honourable Dr. David Hillswick, member of Parliament, or members of Parliament in the persons of Mara Thompson MP for St. John and Michael Carrington MP for St. Michael West. Did I hear Steve Blackett is here as well? Yeah. And whoever else is here. Our esteemed candidate, Dennis Holder, constituents of St. Joseph, members of the Democratic Labour Party family, friends, sympathizers, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to be here this evening to be part of this important act of declaring this constituency office open. You have heard two fine speeches that preceded me, and therefore I'm not going to be very long. The first opportunity I'm having, of course, to see you for the new year, and let me therefore extend very best wishes to you for the year 2013. Every new year presents us with an opportunity to see more, to hear more, to learn more, to know more, to do better, and to be better. And I hope that members of the family of the Democratic Labour Party, but the people of Barbados in general, will not let slip any opportunity to do any of those things. I have to begin by saying that there was a time in the history of St. Joseph when coming up here to open a constituency office, a DLP constituency office, was a fanciful and quite dreamish idea, because it was generally known that this constituency had been loyal to the Barbados Labour Party for the better part of its political history, and certainly the better part of the history of the Barbados Labour Party. Not until 1986 did a majestic young lady step forward, and she taught all of us what was possible. She defeated the then Barbados Labour Party incumbent in this constituency and represented it with distinction between 1986 and 1991, and would have retained it in 1991 had it not been for the intervention of a third party whose total of votes cancelled out her entitlement to regaining the seat. And in the last election we came very, very close to winning it. So we are up here this evening because we are convinced that our moment is now, that Dennis Holder is the man, and that we will be winning the St. Joseph seat in the next general election. I said that this constituency was represented by the Barbados Labour Party for many, many years. In fact, the Premier of Barbados, the late Grantley Herbert Adams, right excellent Grantley Herbert Adams, represented this constituency for many years. The people of St. Joseph, of course, elected him after the people in St. Philip rejected him. He went up into St. Philip around 1932, I think it was, up to political mischief, because the party of Charles Duncan O'Neill, the Democratic League, sponsored Mr. Hilton Vaughan as its candidate in St. Philip. Vaughan had a very good chance of winning, but the planters did not want Vaughan to win because that would have given impetus to ideas that were inconsistent with their interests. Charles Duncan O'Neill was of socialistic bent. He's the philosophical father of the Democratic Labour Party. And Adams came up there as a spoiler. He ran into a lot of hostility in St. Philip. In fact, that election got its name from an encounter with him. That election came to be known as the Stuart election, because in those days, in order to be an MP, you had to own a certain amount of land. And he came up to St. Philip. He qualified to be an MP, but there was a superintendent at the St. Philip's Arms House whose surname was Harewood. Harewood supported Vaughan very strongly, and in a very hostile encounter with Adams, asked him what he was doing in St. Philip. That Mr. Vaughan's father was a well-known landowner in St. Philip. Mr. Vaughan was a very decent man in St. Philip. Mr. Vaughan owns land in St. Philip. But Harewood said to Adams, but you don't own as much land up here as you could tie out a Stuart on. What are you doing up here? And that is how that election got its name, the Stuart election. He lost, but he made Vaughan lose too. And of course, the planters got back in and represented St. Philip for a longer period until in 1940. Winter Algernon Crawford got elected to the House of Assembly as MP for St. Philip. Now let me tell you this. I heard Dennis talking about the vote. Crawford won the seat in St. Philip in 1940, getting 119 votes. That was the total number of votes Crawford got, and he still won the seat. Now there were thousands of people living in St. Philip, but he won with 119 votes. And the reason for that was that the overwhelming majority of people in St. Philip and in Barbados could not vote because they did not own the requisite amount of land, and they were not working for the requisite amount of money. Now, the only qualification you need to vote nowadays is to reach age 18. And we've got to that qualification because bold and courageous people over the years lost their lives, lost their reputations, imperiled their families' chances by fighting for that vote. I'm saying this because too many people in this country take the vote for granted. It had to be fought for. There was a time when people like us in here could not do it because we could not satisfy any of the income or property qualifications required to be satisfied in order to entitle us to vote. And therefore, when I hear young people, and some not so young, talking about voting is a waste of time and so on, they better understand that their great-grandparents would have been glad for the opportunities that they have now. And do some rethinking and respect the sacrifices that were made by people of the distant past to make present opportunities possible. It is disrespectful to walk around the place selling your vote to the highest bidder, or deciding that you ain't voting at all because voting is a waste of time. Let me tell you this, there are some people in Barbados still who, if there is a hurricane on election day, they are going to go and vote. Because they understand the importance of it. If you are driving in a vehicle and you take your hands off the steering wheel and you take your eyes off the road, you cannot be heard to complain when the vehicle ends up. And when you refuse to vote, you are taking your hands off an important steering wheel on this national vehicle, and you can't be heard to complain what becomes of you if the worst happens to you. Now, so far as St. Joseph is concerned, except for the Honorable Macy Baraka-Welch's success here in 1986, this constituency has voted for the Barbados Labour Party. I want to say this. There was a very thoughtful Chinese politician by the name of Deng Xiaoping. He ran China after the death of Mao Zedong, who led the Chinese Revolution and created the People's Republic of China. And he made a very important political observation, which I want to leave with the people of St. Joseph tonight. The color, Deng Xiaoping said, the color of a cat does not matter. What is important about any cat is that he should catch mice. You have been investing in a cat of a particular color for a very long time, and no mice are being caught. The time has come for you to recognize that insisting on a cat of a particular color, when in fact the mice are running rampant around you, is not consistent with your interests. And therefore, it is time for you to change course. If, after having invested in the Barbados Labour Party for as many years as you have so little to show for it, it is time for you to invest in the Democratic Labour Party. And Dennis Holder is our man in that regard. I am confident, of course, that we will defeat the Barbados Labour Party in this constituency in the next election. I spoke at Cleavers Hill in St. Joseph before the last election, even before it was called, around 2007 I think, or 2006. David Essex spoke on the platform that same night. And I said then what I say now. Dale Marshall is the only empty vessel that I know that makes no noise. I have never come across as infertile a politician as Dale Marshall. I said in the House of Assembly in a recent budget debate that he would serve a better purpose done by the Barbados Port Authority, because they need a second shallow draft facility. He's one of the most shallow individuals ever to enter the politics of Barbados. And therefore, when the next election comes around, you have a choice between a shallow draft facility and a man of depth whom you heard here tonight. And that is no choice. Dennis said he's a Christian, and I know he's a Christian, and I respect that. But David Essex gave me some good advice. When I was at school around third form, I remember reading a story about a battle. And the general who led the army in that battle, the army that won, was also a Christian. And every day before he went onto the battlefield, he used to call his soldiers together. And he used to say, "Let us pray." And they all prayed, and he thanked God for the day before, and he begged God to guide them during the day ahead. But once he said amen, his next words were, "Okay, fellas, get the gunpowder now." So,
all right, man.
Even our Lord had to beat the money changers and throw them out of the temple. Let Reverend Messiah tell you that. So, do not compromise your Christian principles. Always let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. But if you are fighting people like Dale Marshall and George Payne, you are not going to be able to read them out by reading any psalms to them. They will not understand what you are saying. And therefore, you have to put on the breastplate of righteousness, gird your loins, and have your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of the Democratic Labour Party. We have the better candidate. We also have the better party. The achievements of the Democratic Labour Party in Barbados ever since 1955, when it was formed, and particularly between 1961 and the present, is unequaled by any other political party in Barbados or outside of Barbados in the Caribbean. And some of the achievements of the party over the last 5 years are contained in your leaflet, but these are not all, and in the fullness of time, not too long from now, you will be put in possession of all the information you need on all that we have achieved over the period January 2008 to now, so that you are left in no doubt that even though we have had to administer the affairs of this country and preside over your destiny and the destiny of the people of Barbados in the worst and most challenging economic crisis in 100 years, that we have still been able to achieve for the people of Barbados in concrete ways, achieving for children, achieving for the aged, achieving for women, achieving for men, achieving for the disabled, achieving for farmers, achieving for fishermen. We have done it all under the most difficult circumstances. So we do not have anything to be ashamed of. And when the time comes, our case will be put with all of the eloquence and with all of the energy of which the team is capable. So we have the better candidate and we have the better party. We also have the better vision of the future. Now, you heard David Essex talking about how we're now to believe that you sell everything go here just to put up a facade that the country is doing well. I happen to know that if you gain the whole world and lose your soul, you're really no better off. You may be better off in the very short term, or not better off in the long. And many years ago, there was a president of Tanzania by the name of Julius Nyerere, who used to say, when he was asked about protecting Tanzania's resources, he used to answer in very picturesque language. He used to say, look, sometimes you see a prostitute walking around parading her jewels and her pearls, and as long as you just admire them, she is happy. The challenge comes when you ask her how she can buy them. And it is alright to sell off everything we have around here to the highest bidder. It's alright then to be able to boast that all the arithmetic is right. But if then our people feel like strangers in their own country, if they can no longer sing with any conviction, these fields and hills beyond recall are now our very own, or are still our very own, then their sense of patriotism, their sense of belonging, their sense of being part of something meaningful will evaporate. So what David Essex said is correct. We have to make Barbados economically viable. We're making it socially balanced. We have to make it economically viable by restructuring it around things like energy, restructuring the agricultural sector and the sugarcane industry, or the sugar industry, to create a genuine sugarcane industry. And we also have to make sure that Barbados is environmentally sound, so that all that we do still allows us to live comfortably in Barbados and enjoy the best of health and breathe the freshest of air. I have heard a lot of talk from the leader of the Barbados Labour Party. He tries to whisper these things across the house to me from time to time, and so hears him too, about the Scotland district. Now before, when David Thompson, when we came to office, David Thompson made clear, and I repeated when we opened the area holder complex, that there's a certain part of Barbados that is not up for sale. And it is the Scotland district, where some of the most beautiful parts of Barbados can be found, and it has to maintain its chastity and its virginity. Now, but whenever he gets a chance, you hear him talking, and Essex can confirm what I'm saying, about putting up here for sale as well too. And while it is true that we believe that St. Joseph must partake of and participate in all of the development taking place in Barbados, we do not believe that that should happen at the cost of the comfort of the people of St. Joseph. And therefore, balanced, environmentally sound development has to take place up here. He wrote to Enrique Iglesias, the then president of the Inter-American Development Bank, in October 1995, and put Barbados' cards on the table as perceived by the Barbados Labour Party. And one of the ideas he pushed in that letter was the idea of land market efficiency, land fetching its highest economic purpose, which is a coded way of saying selling off all that we have. That is not the philosophy of the Democratic Labour Party. And when people come here and tell us how beautiful Barbados is, and how well we are doing, and how not to lose the freshness of this country that we have nurtured so well, that is what they mean. On Old Year's Day, I sat in the reception area of the Crane Hotel in the evening, talking to a gentleman who, and I told the repeat visitors this at Lara Court the other night, talking to a gentleman who was a former governor of one of the states in the United States of America. He told me the story of having lunch with a well-known American senator, and telling that senator that he and his wife wanted to go and spend a holiday somewhere between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, but they hadn't made up their minds where they would go. And he said he scarcely dropped the words when the senator said to him, "You should go to Barbados." He had never come to Barbados before, so he said, "Well, why Barbados?" He said, "Listen, no, that's a slice of paradise." He said he listened to him for a while, and then he decided that he would go and check out Barbados on net. He said he liked what he saw, and when he saw our beaches and our sea, he said he became entranced. But he did not allow that state of entrancement to run away with him, because he said he had seen this before when he went online looking at other countries, only to find that when he got to the countries themselves, water that he thought was blue was really muddy. But and I could understand what he was saying, because I was in Finland not too long ago and staying at a hotel just off the Black Sea. And I could not believe, I'd heard about the Black Sea, I couldn't believe that what we have around here we take for granted, and that is what they have to treat as their price. But he said he came down to Barbados. He told his wife, "Look, let's take the chance, let's go down." Came down 2 days before Christmas. He said he took the country on his back, he and his wife. And he said to me, "Prime Minister, I had to pass by your office. You were not there. I passed by your office and left a letter for you, because I can't believe that there's a place, this part of the world, as beautiful as Barbados." And he said, I want you to know, I've asked that you see me, and I'm very glad you've taken some time to come and see me. I want to let you know that I will be back, not just back to holiday. I am coming back here to invest. This is one of the most beautiful places on earth. That happened on Old Year's Day. But he did not tell me so, because wherever he went in Barbados, he saw a wilderness of bricks and mortar. He told me so because he passed through the Scotland district and he saw the beauty of up here too. And we have to make sure that we preserve what we have and take our natural heritage seriously, protect it, because if we don't want it, there are people elsewhere who will take it from us. So that is what our future is about. That is what Dennis Holt is about. That is what Mara Thompson and Michael Carrington and David Hillswick and Steve Blackett, all of us are about. Making Barbados not only socially balanced, but economically viable and environmentally sound. And if we are going to be able to do that, let me tell you in language that you can understand, I want Dennis Holder in the House of Assembly after the next election. So this constituency office, which is being open here, is not just being open for tokenistic reasons. This is not just an empty gesture. We're opening this office because we intend to keep it open, because we intend that after the next election, the MP for this constituency will be the Democratic Labour Party's MP functioning from these premises. And against that background, thanks for the patience you've shown me in listening to me, but I take the greatest pleasure in declaring this constituency office open. Thank you very much.